My name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Melina. This is chapter 4, the Godliness. Francesca sat on a couch facing La Imperia, and the maid closed the door and left the two women alone. Though the furniture was made of leather, it was truly quite comfortable. Imperia was sitting in a cushioned chair, and the dark wood table had embroidery mantle. The teacup set over it was made of porcelain, and the silver spoons were encrusted with diamonds. Imperia poured herself a cup of tea, and then she asked, "How would you like your tea?" "As is, your ladyship," said Francesca, taking the cup that was offered to her. The tea had a pleasant honey taste. "Do you have any experience in dealing with small, unruly children?" asked Imperia. "Yes, my lady, though I thought I was to serve a full-grown woman," said Francesca, somewhat confused. "Full-grown, yes. Woman, no. The fact is that Melina is still quite unruly, and without her refinement, she carries herself with the gracefulness of a commoner," explained Imperia. "I see," said Francesca, understanding her position. Understanding the nature of her student. "We shall see, my dear," said Imperia, yawning, and then she added, "Your job, my dear, will be to nurture Melina's natural skills and to teach her what she lacks. And I must warn you, Melina despises being lorded over, and keep this in mind, though you are her governess, your official title and roles will be those of a maidservant." I understand, your ladyship," said Francesca, nodding. "The first 3 months are going to be a trial period, and you will earn a maidservant salary. If all goes well, you will earn the standard governess salary, and your family shall enjoy all the privileges that this position implies. If not, I will refund your traveler's fee, and I will award you with a pittance for all the trouble you endure," said Imperia, getting up and opening the door for Francesca. Francesca bowed and left the room, and outside the maid was waiting for her, and she said to Francesca, "I will now take you to Melina's room, and I want you to familiarize yourself with her things and the proper care she expects from you." Francesca nodded in response, and the pair walked over to the Dane's pavilion, and Melina's room was on the far western side of the palace, and this section faced the rose garden, and while walking the pavilion, Francesca was naturally distracted by the luxurious design, and she fell to listen to the complicated explanation of Melina's living arrangement, and when the maid noticed Francesca was not listening, she stopped talking altogether. When both arrived at the door of Melina's bedroom, the maid said, "Well, you should be fine on your own. Just remember everything I just explained to you. Now goodbye. And I have other duties to attend to, and here's a spare key to Melina's bedroom, and don't lose it." The maid left in a hurry before Francesca had a chance to detain her. Gulping, Francesca cursed her own naivete, and she had been distracted from her duties by all of the glamour of the Dane's pavilion. So like she was getting all of a huge explanation, but she's like, look at the cool paintings, and she didn't hear anything. "Well, you know everything you need to know about Melina. Bye!" She's like, I heard nothing. Francesca eventually armed herself with courage and went within, and Melina was not in her room, just as Francesca had expected, and the walls and curtains were pink with white flowery design. There were 2 windows on each side of the room, and aside from the entrance portal section, and instead of windows, it had 2 bookshelves, and the windows facing the bed had twin fireplaces with a large square mirror. There was Melina's large bed with 3 large pillows and a small bed. The bed had elegant scroll designs and a white curtain, and the red wooden floor had large white carpet decorated with red roses. Before the bed, there was a drawing table with a chair. There was a tear glass chandelier hanging from the white roof. There was also a chandelier stand attached to the wall, and there was also a single dress drawer and a small bed a few legs away from the drawing table. The left side of the room led to the modern toilet room and the closet, and aside from these items, there were a few portraits decorating the walls, and Francesca looked through all of these items over the top to get a hint as to Melina's character. She did note the cleanliness of the floor, and the wood was glistening after a recent polish, And while searching around, she noted her own bedroom slippers at the foot of the smaller bed, and she guessed she had to share the same room with Melina, and this was not an uncommon practice among maidservants. And by now it was late afternoon, and Francesca was feeling a bit silly waiting for Melina to come, and she wanted to get up and look for her. However, she worried about getting lost in such a large building, and she was about to get up when she heard a light knock on the door, and she walked towards the chamber door and asked, "Who is it?" "I am a messenger, madam, and I come bearing gifts for Lady Melina," said the messenger. And Francesca opened the door, and a large bouquet of flowers entered the room, and hidden behind the bouquet was the figure of a gentleman. And Francesca helped unburden the man by placing the flowers inside a large porcelain vase. And when the man saw Francesca, he frowned and said, "You are not Melina." "So I have been told," said Francesca, bowing. Wow, that's very sarcastic. Yeah, I know I'm not her. "Do you know when Melina plans to check in?" asked the messenger. "I am new, so I wouldn't know," said Francesca, apologetic. "More the pity," said the messenger. "If you see Melina, tell her Sir Walter came to visit her." The man who Francesca assumed was Sir Walter eyed her from head to toe, and he was about to say something, but he chose to remain silent, and he closed the door behind him while saying, "I'll return at a later time. Good day to you, my lady." When the messenger left, Francesca went to look out the window, and she saw Melina walking towards one of the wood gardens. After getting lost a few times and asking for direction once or twice, Francesca finally tracked down Melina. And unlike all the other maidens in the palace, Melina was easy to spot, and in impede later she had mentioned Melina's odd dressing habits, and that day Melina was wearing a pink dress, and it had short sleeves and a pink sash below the breast, and the long dress partly delineated her curves, and however the skirt started below the chest, though the dress lacked ornamentation, it was made of pink silk, and her shoes were pink ballerina shoes, and her blonde curls were done up in a bud. Francesca found Melina resting in one of the garden hammocks, and a handsome man was sitting on a chair beside her with his hat removed, and Melina was not looking at him, and she was disdainfully hiding her face from him while using a white fan. She was like, "Oh." Francesca caught half their conversation. "Trial period, but my heart yearns for you, and my father will die soon, and I'm an only child. If you marry me, I can make you a wealthy, honorable woman," implored the young man. "I don't care about the money, and I haven't been here long enough to sully my honor, as you like to call it," said Melina, yawning. And Melina suddenly closed her fan, and she shifted her position, and she caught Francesca's inquisitive gaze. Smiling, she said, "It's rude to eavesdrop, girl." And the young man turned around and he greeted Francesca. Since he no longer had his privacy, the young man left the two maidens alone. And Francesca sat in the empty seat, and then she said, "It is a pleasure to meet you, Melina. I am Francesca d'Asrimi. I was appointed, and hired to be your new maidservant." "Sure you were, Franny," said Melina, flapping her fan. "I haven't been called Franny in ages," said Francesca with an air of nostalgia. "Why not? The name suits you a lot better than Francesca d'Asrimi." "That name makes you sound too serious," commented Melina. And she lightly kicked Franny's leg to get a bit of an impulse, and her hammock was soon swinging once again. "I guess," said Franny, shrugging her shoulders, and she added, Do you want me to move the hammock for you?" "If you had no better use of your time, then I would certainly appreciate it," said Melina, yawning wildly to showcase her beautiful, perfect teeth. Diente. "That's not a very ladylike habit," said Franny. "At least cover your mouth or something when you yawn." "I don't care. As a courtesan, I will never be considered a true lady, so why pretend to be something I'm not," said Melina added. "And you know what I think? Ladies begrudge yawning since they have the same teeth as commoners. Like, the reason why they tell a woman to, cover their mouth with a yawn is because, a lot of women back then, they didn't have, there wasn't good dental hygiene in medieval society, so you cover your mouth when you yawn so that people don't see, your cavity-infested yellow mouth." Time, bro?
14 minutes.
"So what did the gentleman want from you?" said Franny, changing the subject. "He wanted a freebie. Noble or not, he won't inherit a fortune without marrying someone he hates, and he can't survive on his own, so he naturally is going to play ball," explained Melina. Franny was quiet for a few minutes, and she was having a hard time understanding some of Melina's phrases, and the whole farting thing sounded quite queer to her ears, and guessing what was troubling Franny, Melina said, "Farting is a type of currency, and by play ball, I meant that the guy was going to do what his old man, what his father wanted." "Ah," said Franny, finally understanding. Melina sat up and said, "We should be heading back now, and the cook has been instructed to bring my food up to my room." "And why don't we have dinner with the other courtesans?" asked Franny. "I don't like being watched when I eat," said Melina, standing up and starting to walk towards the pavilion. "Why, do the other courtesans make fun of you for not knowing how to use your silverware?" asked Franny, following along. Melina turned around swiftly and struck Franny lightly on the forehead with her fan. She then said, narrowing her eyes, "How astute!" "What?" said Franny, rubbing her forehead. "You know what you did," said Melina, not looking back. Both did not exchange words until they arrived at Melina's room, and there was a new table within. It had 2 chairs and a small banquet big enough to feed 4 maidens, and Melina lay down flat-faced on her bed, and moaning she said something Franny was not able to understand. And looking up she said, "You eat first, and then leave me alone for half an hour." Again with the food shyness. "Even I find this habit of yours most queer indeed, and I won't judge you, and even if I did, it won't matter since I am your maidservant," said Franny, bowing. "If that has sounded filthy to me, then obey my wish and leave me be after you finish eating," said Melina, sitting up. "As you wish, my lady," said Franny. Franny sat down to eat her meal, all the while Melina was watching her eat, and she felt rather awkward eating while being stared down. So she's eating, and then the person said this. Halfway through her food, Melina said, "You may have my cornbread if you like. I know that is your favorite." Franny was happy to eat Melina's cornbread, and after she was done eating it, she felt guilty when she saw Melina's fragile body. And Franny asked Melina, "Does this food not please you?" "More or less, and even back when I was eating on a regular basis, I was picky, and frankly, I never found remotely appealing medieval food," commented Melina, resting her head on a pillow. And she was slowly removing the hairpins one by one, and in no time her hair band had come undone. "If you want something in particular, I can always ask the cook to make it," said Franny, sipping her wine. "There would be no point. There isn't enough spices in the region to cook for me what I truly desire," said Melina, licking her lips. And she added, "Consider my current state of affairs. It would be a wasted effort on his part." And Franny frowned again before saying, "You speak in riddles, and forgive me for being out of line, but just tell me, what do you want already?" "I want you to shut up and eat your damn food, and also eat mine as well too, and then have the others take away the food and tell everyone how much I ate, and that I will be getting big and fat like those fried hogs that they prance about as if they were the last coke in the desert," said Melina, sitting up. And her eyes were wide open, and the lethargic look from her face had completely dissipated, and there was a strange gleam in her eyes that made Franny sit up and take a staggered step back. And Melina's face quickly relaxed, and she allowed her body to fall back down again, and as she resumed her lethargic position, and when Melina saw Franny not sitting down, she said, "Franny, you are acting as if I'm going to attack you or something. Sit down. You should not be so quick to judge someone you just met." Franny answered with downcast eyes, "I am sorry, but you are terribly frightened of me. That is what you wanted to say, and there is one thing you must know about me. I don't like to be messed with, and as long as you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you, and in my defense, your 3 predecessors had it coming," said Melina, looking at the roof. Apparently one of Melina's many bad habits was not looking at people in the face when she spoke to them. "What did they do to you that was so terrible?" asked Franny, sitting back down again. "Nothing, just standard industry practice," said Melina, yawning. Franny was hoping Melina explained this a little better, and she decided not to press the issue since she was a young maiden, not to press the issue, and Franny still remembered how mean her governess was to her, and her mother had always had convinced her so that the whippings were for her own benefit, and looking back, Franny thought that most governesses were sadistic monsters who enjoyed torturing little boys and girls. And at the moment, Franny resolved not to be a mean-spirited governess like the one that had taught her. And following Melina's order, Franny ate part of Melina's meal, and she made it seem as if Melina had eaten something or other. And after a whole week of doing this, Franny wondered what the nymphs truly ate. And the footage was suddenly a cause for concern for impede, and one day Melina had her measurements taken, and despite not eating or drinking anything, and despite not being seen eating or drinking anything for a whole week, Melina maintained her weight. And it was around the weekend when Franny awoke to find Melina's bed ending, and Franny was a heavy sleeper, and an earthquake wouldn't wake her. And lighting was another matter, and her house had been burned down as a result of the lightning storm, and for this reason she awoke when she heard the lightning falling. And Franny at first couldn't make out Melina's ashes from the bed, and she lighted a nearby candle and walked towards Melina's bed. And when she removed the cover, she saw Melina was gone, and trembling from head to toe, Franny reached for the wall and activated the enchantment that would light up the chandelier, and its warm golden hue casted a chase away the darkness. And a bolt of lightning fell close to the garden, and its light caught Franny's attention, and she noticed that one of the windows was open, and it was flapping to and fro, letting a good number of leaves fall within. And Franny ran towards the window to close it, in case it started raining. And while closing it, she noticed a piece of cloth stuck to one of the rose bushes, and reaching for it, Franny saw that it was a piece of Melina's nightgown. Time, bro?
7 minutes.
Heavy droplets began to fall on Franny's hand, and she cursed when she saw Melina running into the gardens. And she was going to go around, however, she feared losing track of Melina. And against her better judgment, Franny tried to jump the rose bush, and she scraped her leg on the thorns, and the other was smashed against the floor, and Franny did not notice till this much later, and she ran in the direction of the forest. Another lightning bolt fell, and this was fell in the center of a nearby garden, and it was close enough to make Franny's ears start ringing. And at that moment, Franny was at an impasse. Did she dare run after her crazy mistress, or would she scurry back to safety of her bedroom and see how things turned out? In the end, Franny decided to chase after Melina, and in the darkness, the forest garden was painted in the most odious colors, and even the beautiful flowering trees had dark, sinister vibes about them. And she eventually heard an echo of Melina singing, and the elements combined with Melina singing made Franny think she was having a nightmare. And the raindrops started falling harder and swifter. And she grasped when she saw Melina, and under the pale light of the sky, Melina seemed like a pale white specter, and her white gown danced around her along with the leaves in the forest. And not daring to go nearer, Franny yelled, "Melina!" Melina did not seem to hear her. Again, Franny yelled, "Melina!" And Melina beckoned Franny with her hand, and she said, "Oh, Franny, the night is simply marvelous, and I have never seen anything quite like this." "What nonsense do you speak? It is just a lightning storm," snapped Franny. "Come play with me, Franny. Let us dance to the elements of nature," said Melina, who started humming while she walked, facing the night sky. "I'm not playing with you, Melina, and get back to your room now," said Franny, coming closer and pulling Melina's shoulder. And Franny had hoped to muscle Melina back to the castle, however, the girl seemed rooted to the ground. And Melina took Franny's hand and forced her to assume a waltzing position, and the pair waltzed for a few minutes that felt to Franny like an eternity. And Melina then released Franny after making her do a twirl, and laughing she said, "You are no fun at all. What do you have to be afraid of? I don't bite, and the bad weather is going to clear up in a couple of minutes." "You don't know that," said Franny. "Please don't make things harder for me. I need you to act like a proper lady if I am to stay here any longer." "You shouldn't worry about La Imperia. She and I have a queer understanding, if you get my drift. And if I ask her to let you stay, then you will stay," explained Melina. "Still, I can't take my chances. Please, I implore you. Let's go back to your bedroom," implored Franny with her hand. Time, bro?
5 minutes.
Melina looked at Franny's legs and shook her head sadly, and then she then walked up to Franny and said, "Get on my back. I'll carry you to our room." "Oh no, that is most unbecoming of a lady, and that won't be necessary. My legs are fine," said Franny, suddenly becoming aware of sharp pains in her knee. And she reclined against a tree to remove the pressure from it. And Melina shook her head sadly before saying, "You humans worry about the most foolish of things, and the fact still remains that you got injured because of me. And in the future, do not interfere with my nightly rounds, and for now let me carry you, and that is an order." Melina got closer to Franny, who locked her hands around her shoulders, and Melina then gingerly picked up Franny. Melina walked swiftly through the forest, and Franny's additional weight did not seem to slow her down. And from time to time, she would start to hide behind a decorative column or tree, and she did this to avoid the night patrol, and Melina eventually made it to her bedroom she was about to jump over the rose bushes when she stopped midway after taking a bit of a running start, and frowning she said, "Damn." So Melina went to the window of another room, and this one did not have any rose bushes or plants to impede her entrance. And Melina punched through the window and opened it, and she placed one leg inside and then another. And Franny looked in the direction of the sleeping courtesan, and Melina ripped one of the curtains and allowed it to fall over Franny. And she apparently noticed that Franny was shivering from head to toe. And Franny softly whispered, "Melina, you are making too much noise. What if she wakes up?" "There isn't a chance in hell that Steve is going to wake up anytime soon," said Melina loudly. "Shh! Do you want us to get in trouble?" snapped Franny, looking at the figure more closely. "Franny, as Steve? You don't mean that she is dead?" "Sure she is, and what of it?" said Melina with disdain, and she added, "That is not our department. We will deal with it when we deal with it. For now, let's get back to our room so I can clean your leg wounds. Time, bro?"
3 minutes.
Yawning, Franny said, "Oh, fine, let's go. The sooner we get to my room, the sooner this nightmare will end." Melina opened the room and carried Franny to her bed. And Melina set Franny on the bed and then went to the bathroom to fetch a cloth and some warm water. And she fastidiously cleaned Franny's scratches and knee bruises. And then she poured a strange white liquid over Franny's leg, which made her flinch. Petting her scratches, Melina said, "It is just alcohol to disinfect your wounds." "Ugh, I don't care what it is, it burns. Take it out," said Franny, frowning. "Fine," said Melina, rubbing soap over the wounds. Soap. And after she cleaned out the alcohol more or less, she put bandages over Franny's knee and over the scratches, and the bandages felt cool to Franny's aching legs, and in no time the pain was gone. Melina then started unbuttoning Franny's nightgown, and then she said, "Let me take this off, and I will get you a change of clothing." And Melina took Franny's nightgown and the curtain and threw them in the dirty clothing basket. And she brought out from her closet one of her own silky white nightgowns, and when Franny felt the texture, she said, "This is one of your dresses. Were you not able to find one of my spares?" "Now it's not important. Just worry about yourself," said Melina. Melina helped Franny lie back on her bed, and she got one of her pillows and placed it underneath Franny's wounded knee. And Melina then gingerly wrapped Franny in the bedsheets, and when she saw that her mate was well, Melina went to her washroom to bathe. And as Franny slowly fell asleep again, she couldn't help to think about the stiff in the other room. Alright, we're done with this chapter. Bye-bye and God bless.